Let me ask you a question. If you were sitting at a poker table and someone came up to you and said, if I had a tip for you that would improve your odds of winning by 30 to 50%. Interested? Yeah, of course we are. Well, I don't have a poker tip for you, but I have a business tip for you, and it's simply this. Run your business from a written plan. Really simple, really easy. The idea is not new. It's been around forever. And I want to talk today about a little bit about why we do that, but more importantly, some how-tos, because that's where this thing falls apart. The notion of planning is pretty straightforward, not complicated, until you look at a business. And then it can get pretty complicated pretty quickly. There's so many moving parts. We all have our different perceptions of what business is about. We're going to try to break that down into some bite-sized, rational, easy-to-understand, logical tool for you. Okay, now, planning as a concept. When you think about planning, it really is quite simple. We plan all the time. It's just human nature. You plan your vacation. You figure out where you're going to go, how you're going to get there, who you're going to be with, what you're going to do when you get there. It's all planning. So we just do it naturally. If you're having a dinner party, think about that. You think about who you're going to invite, what you're going to serve, where you're going to hold it, when you're going to do it, how many people, and you figure out what you need to get, what you need to shop, what you have to buy, what kind of booze you're going to serve, what kind of wine. We're always planning. So it's not unusual. It's simple. It's straightforward. We do that all the time. So why don't we do that more in business? Everything's changing. Oh, I'd get back to my plan, but I got to wait until this happens, and then something else happens. I got to wait until that happens. Of course, that's life. I mean, that's our world, and I'm going to invite you to look at planning in the context of that constant change. It's been the biggest hurdle, I think, for most entrepreneurs is to stop long enough to put a plan together and then manage that plan. And we're going to talk about how Plan Genie is designed to help overcome some of those challenges. It's a living, breathing document that has to change. You can't live on yesterday's news. You've got to have, you have to refresh your plan on a regular basis, and that's built into what we're trying to accomplish here today. What I want to talk about today is running your business from a plan. Not so much a business plan. So there's a slight shift in thinking there, running your business from a plan. What Corey's talking about, the traditional, I think a lot of people conjure up in their mind a definition of a business plan as a document we write and create to help justify the business. It's more of what I would call a business case. This is how wonderful this new idea is, this is how great we are, and these are the phony projections that we're going to create for you. That's not what that's right. So I want to shift the mindset around a document that actually helps you run your business from a plan. And it's again, if you conceptualize it, it's quite simple. It's understanding where we are today, where we want to go, what's the outcome at some specified time in the future, and what are the steps we have to take to get there. So that's what we've done in Plan Genie. We've created a tool that allows you to clearly articulate where you are today, very simply and in straightforward language, describe where you want to get to, and cause you to think through the steps. And once you get into it, you'll find it really isn't that hard, and it doesn't take a lot of time. But we complicate this business of planning over and over again, and that's how consultants make their money. They use big words and a lot of complexity, and all of a sudden you've got a $20,000 bill on your hand. So we're not talking about that. We're trying to cut through a lot of that jargon, a lot of the nonsense, and just make it simple as possible. Often we see a lot of statistics, numbers, data, and we talk about planning as a tool. How few entrepreneurs actually run their business from a plan? The number's minuscule. We talk about 1 in 10. But that's not exactly true. Every entrepreneur runs their business from a plan, but it's up here. So what I want to talk about is writing it down. That's really, Plan Genie boils down to writing it down. Getting clear about what it is that we're trying to accomplish here and being able to put it on a piece of paper on the computer and equally importantly, change it. quickly and efficiently. Time and how, as an entrepreneur, you can get consumed in your business pretty easily. That happens to all of us. I mentioned the success factor goes up. And you can imagine, I mean, that's not hard to, I don't think I have to justify that. When you've got a plan, you talk about a dinner party or your vacation, you know where you're going, so you're going to have more success. It's going to be more fun. You're going to have better results. And you're going to feel better. When it's written down, you know where you're going, you know how you're going to get there. It feels good. I use this phrase, clarity creates confidence. I love that. And that's what we're talking about here. As we get clear about things in our business, and we're so clear we can actually write it down, and we can also share it, and we can delegate. That's one of the keys. In planning, and I'm going to talk about the planning process, it's a process. It's a collaborative process. I'm going to show you how you as leaders are going to drive that or initiate it, but as you cascade through the details, and you can start to involve your people, and they become engaged, and they take ownership, and you can go golfing or go to the beach. I'll give you an example. One of my CEO guys, I meet with them. We have our meeting once a month for a full day chance for them to kind of work together. But I also meet with them individually every month on a one-to-one basis. So it's a chance for them to talk about what's going on in their world, in their life. And Patrick, I think you saw in the video, has been working from his plan, and he had this RFP come in with a short deadline on it. The next shiny object, right? Gotta, should I, shouldn't I? I'm so freaking busy already, but this looks like a great opportunity. So we put a pause on that and I said, okay, Patrick, let's go back to your plan for a second. You'll see in a minute, the plan includes information like, what am I selling? What are my key products and services here? Who am I selling it to? So I said to Patrick, how does this fit that equation? And there were some other pieces of information in his plan that we had a reference point to. And it turns out when we actually analyzed it in the context of what his business is all about, we're going to talk about unique business propositions, some of those kind of things, what are his products and services, and who is he selling to, this didn't fit. I mean, you could have stretched it somehow and made it fit. But really, no. Tight timeline. So, and in the past, and he's like many of us as an entrepreneurial, he would chase that for a while. Spend a lot of time and energy on it. And probably patched it together somehow. At what expense? Both financially and mentally and physically and energy. So as a consequence of that reference back to his plan, we modified a couple of things in the process. We clarified some of those questions. What am I selling? Who am I selling it to? That kind of idea, which is an ongoing exercise. You get more and more clarity. So the next time these things show up, he can quickly analyze. Is this something that this company should be involved in? Or in that case, he ditched it. He went on to another opportunity that showed up that was a better fit. So I want to explain how that fits. I want to show you how, as you get good at this and become skilled at it, you'll find it just an extremely valuable exercise. It really is often a question of getting your priorities clear and setting realistic timelines.
Everything's important, though. And everything needs to be done now, but it'll be good.
But you'll see that there is, important in terms of if once you've got a better outline of your plan and where you're taking your business, you'll see how these pieces can be prioritized. And also, as I said, putting some realistic timelines, you'll discover, and I think we all suffered to some extent from that disease of getting it all done yesterday. It does take some practice to think, okay, realistically, as long as what I've discovered, as long as it's on the list in my plan, my to-do list in my plan, then I can relax a little bit. Yes, it'd be nice to get it done in this quarter, but you know what? With all the things I've got going on, why don't we put that in the next quarter? It doesn't fall off the table. We're not losing it anywhere. It's still there, but we can put a timeline on it that makes us just in better control. When you think about it, we're in business to live a better life somewhere, right? Outside of business. So these things are inextricably hooked together. And I think you'll find, I hope you'll find, as your peer group work together, remind yourself, why am I doing this? Like, why? What's the result of my being more successful and more engaged in my business, outside of the business? Have I lost track of what that's all about? And I'm going to, again, I believe passionately in this work because I think it does allow us to do that. It allows us to put perspective on a lot of what we're doing. And that clarity, again, comes back. Clarity creates confidence. We feel better. We get things done. Peer group that I work in are busy people like you are. They devote a day a month. They've made a conscious decision to work on their business rather than in their business that day a month. Right? It's pretty simple. And the return, of course, is a better life, more time, more fun, more energy. If we just drill down, we're constantly focusing on nothing but doing things. It's not stopping long enough to think about what we're doing. You can get lost in the day-to-day stuff. So it's a decision I think you all have to make. I can't make it for you. Do I want to commit a little bit of my life, not a lot, and I'm going to show you how efficient this is. Again, this isn't a weekend retreat somewhere. It's a couple of hours here and there. We can all find that time. And I'm going to encourage you to continue to find that time, even if it's like waiting for a bus, sitting at the airport, waiting to catch a flight somewhere. Pull out Plan Genie, and that idea that you had, the one that you want to write down, write it down, but then I'm going to show you how to transfer that into your plan pretty quickly. Put it in the right spot. And then it's there. So it's a question of kind of getting good at learning some skills and then committing the time, the discipline, the habit of planning.
Thank you.
Okay. I hope I haven't oversold this too much, but I want to walk you through the program and show you how it works. First of all, as you all know, it's a cloud-based tool, so you can access it anywhere, anytime, any device. So there's no excuse saying I have to wait till I go to the office. That's one excuse off the table. I want to show you the model, I guess. Maybe that's the best place. So when you open it up, you're going to, it starts off with, and by the way, everything in both the online version and when you first log in, you see access to this book. So I encourage you to print that off. You can print off sections. If you just want to work on the business plan summary, for example, just print that section. If you want a piece of paper to doodle on. So it's interchangeable. Ideally, of course, you want to transfer everything back to the computer version. And those of you that don't like to write, then just go straight there. You can always change it, delete it, change, modify, whatever you like. So it's set up that way. It's designed in a workbook format, which means that all the way through, we simply ask you the questions that we think you need to answer in order to articulate your plan. And answer them the best way you can. If you don't like your answer, you can always change it. There's no right or wrong, right? You're not being tested here. But it's in a workbook format, and it's got four pieces to it. And I want to explain how that works. So let's go to, how about the 4-step business plan, Corey? The first part explains all of this in the book and both in the online version. And by the way, this little guy here is instruction video, audio, soon to be video. So there's instructions. We've designed this program both as a tool to help you run your business from a plan, but also a training tool to help you learn how to plan. Because at the end of the day, that's our real objective, is to help you as a business owner learn how to plan, a skill that will serve you so well over and over and over again. So there's instructions. That's that underlying behavior stuff that we all want in our companies, things that we know. The values are about behaviors. I'm going to show you specifically how you can articulate some of that thing that makes it worthwhile. It's the foundation around which people in your organization can make decisions, they can be independent, they can think for themselves, they know that they're on solid ground when they understand the kind of values that we believe in our business. Your current situation. So in order to know where we're going, I think it's very helpful for us to talk about and be able to document where we are today in these 4 categories. Who are our customers? Like, who are we selling to? What's the criteria for that ideal customer? Big business, small business, local. There's lots of ways of describing who you're selling to. So I'm going to encourage you to start working on that and be able to identify them, not by name, but by criteria. Products and services. What, in fact, are we selling? Can we clarify that in fairly simple, straightforward terms so that we understand, so that we can also explain it to other people? It's an interesting exercise. We think we know what we're selling, and we kind of do. But if you actually sat down and wrote it down, defined it, clarified it, a very useful exercise. And that, of course, sets the stage for change. So that's who we're selling to today and what we're selling. But that doesn't, you can't stay constant because your customers' needs are always changing. So this gives you a place to start to change the products and services, make them better, different, more in line with what your customers' changing needs are. Third piece of this I call partners, alliances, and influencers. This is still trying to understand our business. So when I talk about partners and alliances, every business has partners and alliances that you rely on, either to help sell your products or to help you build your products, to distribute your products and services. So it's important. These other organizations or individuals are critically important to your success. So I separate that out as a place to think about who do I rely on? Who's our supplier here? It's kind of like who your customer. You have to identify the criteria for a good partner. Get rid of the ones that aren't, add new ones, and over time, it's kind of like building your customer base. You build your relationships with your partners and alliances in a way that's going to make you more effective. Place to start that, and then the competitor notion. Again, I don't spend a lot of time on competitors, but I think it's valuable to at least identify who they are. In general terms, and I ask questions that, who are your key competitors? What do they do better than you do? Just a place to give some thought to that question. So this is all preamble to get into this is the key action plan. This is about the execution of your plan. This is where the 90-day pieces fit in. What do we have to get done in the next 90 days? And I break that into a total of 8 subsections. Synthesize this over many years, and everything fits in here. And they include a marketing plan, a sales plan, 2 distinct exercises. Marketing for me is finding leads, plain and simple, about finding the next opportunity. So there's a bunch of work that we do there that helps us find those opportunities. Selling is when you take that lead, that opportunity, and actually close the deal. There's a whole bunch of steps involved and processes involved there. Now you've sold the product or service. We have operations or customer service, I call it. This is now that you've found the lead, sold the product or service, now we have to deliver on our promises. Operationally, what are we doing? How do we improve, change, get better results, better service, and so on? So that's meeting your promises in the sales deal. Then I add in finance and admin. So behind every business, there's a need to track and document information. How are we doing that? What are we doing? What can we improve? People, HR, all of that stuff. The hiring, the firing, the training, the coaching, all of the work that we do as a business owner to help bring our people quotient up. Better, more skilled people, the right people on the bus in the right chairs. A lot of work involved there. I bring into focus technology. Oh, sorry, where's my partners and alliances?
Partner plan.
Did I miss that?
Yeah, people, partner plan.
Okay. Remember I mentioned about partners and alliances? So what are we doing to build those relationships? Strengthen them. As I said, get rid of the old ones, find some new ones, and so on. That's an integral part of being a successful business. Technology, over the course of time, technology has become hugely important. It's the empowerment, it's the thing that lets us move forward in a whole lot of areas. So what's your technology plan? Are you going to have a CRM system? Is your financial accounting in a mess? Where do you bring technology into your business in this next year, and what kind of changes do you want to make? And the last one is community and the environment. That speaks for itself. Businesses are an entity, they're a legal entity, so how does your business fit into the community and environment? A sort of a thoughtful way, instead of sort of, giving money to this donation or that. Is there a way that you want to put your business into the community and the environment in a proactive, purposeful way? So those 8 components capture most of our to-do lists. In a lot of business planning, I see people do a marketing or business development. They call it business development plan. They call that their business plan. Well, that's only one piece. So if we're going to be complete here, we want to be successful over time, we not only have to sell products and services, we actually have to deliver. And we've got to track and document. And we've got to look after our people and a bunch of other moving parts. Make sense so far? You guys with me? Questions? Good? Okay.
You have organization structure out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Why is that?
There are 2 pieces left. Org structure. When we know where we're going, how we're going to get there, and we've decided all these things we've got to get done, and these are the people that are going to do them, it begs the question, how are we set up and organized? Do we have the right people in the right chairs? Does everybody know their role? Do they know who they report to? Do they know how the system works from a people point of view? And that's where your org structure is critically important. I see a lot of business owners kind of dismiss this stuff. In my mind, it is a key to being successful. Communication, understanding, people want to know what their roles are, they want to know how they fit into the other people in the organization. And in the absence of that, they get confused, they get frustrated, they're not clear. Clarity creates confidence. So org structure helps us do that. And I approach it this way. At the end there, I'll ask you a question. Show me draft your current org structure. Get a piece of paper and draw all the little boxes and see who's on first. Now that you've done a plan, you're looking into the future. So my next question is, what does your future org chart look like? That'll tell you a lot about where you're missing stuff. You don't have the players to do what you want to do. Or if you don't have them today, it'll help you prioritize what's missing. Where's the talent that where are the boxes we have to fill? And you can start to proactively think about that because you know where you're going. You have to have these people help you get there. And you don't have to commit to necessarily, these are plans, remember? They're not cast in concrete. They're cast in what? Something that's malleable. That's right. So that org structure wraps the whole thing together. And that's it. It may feel like a lot right now, but I'm going to ask you to be patient with yourself, and you'll get there, a bite at a time. And once you've kind of gone through this exercise once, I'm going to suggest to you, given the size of the business that I hear here, it's going to take you no more than maximum of a full day's worth of work, spread over maybe a couple months. If you want to do it on the weekend, go ahead. But you can run through this pretty quickly. It's not a matter of filling every box to completion, but just a little piece here. Like your priority might be, we've got to really focus on our marketing efforts in the next period of time, right? We've got to find those customers. All right, that box is going to have a lot of detail in it. Your finance may have one little to-do list on it. Maybe I want to meet with my bookkeeper and get my reports done faster. That's it. But you haven't, the intent for me is to help you look at all of the parts and not just one at the expense. Then all of a sudden you find yourself scrambling. Oh boy, we just sold a bunch of stuff. Uh-oh, now what am I going to do? I'm not ready. I don't have the resources in place. So I want to keep you conscious of all of those pieces. So let's move on, can we, to arriving and being and getting there. So next step, goal setting. Over the course of time, we've looked at goal setting. I've looked at a variety of different models. How far in the future do you plan? And I had everything from 1 year to 5 years. I settled on 1 year and 3 years as two. They just eventually made most sense for me. So when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about looking into the future on a practical level. What does the result look like 3 years from now? I think we can get our head around that. We can plan with some degree of certainty, and then 1 year. So the way this is broken down is we start with 3 years out. Think about your business 3 years from now. What's the result that you've accomplished? And so and then what we're going to do is then, okay, now that we know what we're striving for 3 years from now, then let's kind of change the focus down to 1 year. And that'll give us a bit of a roadmap as to where we're going. So the question becomes, what does success look like 3 years from now? Big picture stuff. And now we've got to start thinking about in terms of how do we describe the result? And clearly the financial result is one. So what is the revenue profit picture 3 years from now? And then I'm going to ask you to add a couple of other pieces to that. Because your business success may not be only about the financial results. So you're kind of painting a picture of a result in the future, 3 years out, that has a financial component and perhaps 2 or 3 other components. It might be anything from the number of people you've got, the culture you've got, locations, branches, growing new franchises, something along those lines that are part of your success story. 3 years, having at least a sense of what does the financial picture look like 3 years from now. I'm going to encourage you to go back to the drawing board and put some of that stuff in there as well.
Yeah.
So 3 or 4, maximum of 5 outcomes in terms of growth, money, buildings, products, services, geographic reach, whatever's relevant to your world. Okay? All right, we're going to move on quickly. So we've now got a 3-year list. These are results that we've accomplished 3 years out. Let's get more realistic. So what does the milestone 1 year from now look like? If you didn't have a revenue picture or number or financial number, then you can work on that later. But presumably it would be a stepping stone towards your 3-year result. So how can you clarify in your own mind, realistically, 12 months from now, a successful outcome? Somebody talked about acquiring a property or something. So maybe the 1-year outcome would be we've established a location, or we've done some research, or we've acquired enough money to put the down payment, whatever the interim goal would be towards the 3-year result. Just write out the stuff that you got to get done. And you'll find probably that sometimes the goal and the strategy isn't always clear. The test is, so what does, keep asking yourself, is this something I have to do, or is this an outcome? And by thinking that way, I think you'll be able to, the cream will kind of rise to the top from a goal statement point of view, and the other stuff will still be there. But again, don't get too hung up on it, as long as you know what you mean. Okay, step 1. And you can be congratulated because you now have a business plan. It's just that easy. It's brain work, guys. It's about thinking and challenging yourself, thinking your way. It's brain work and then writing it down. So if you go a little further, okay, so save your answers, or save in next. Okay, congratulations, you now have a business plan. So if you click here, you've got your document. Tyler, unfortunately, you can't click, but when you go home, you can put this in, and yeah. What does it look like? Okay.
Looks like a business plan.
You have a written business plan. You got a document that explains where you are, where you're going, and how you're going to get there. May not be your final product. For a second, one of the things we want to do is, I'll just take a marketing plan, for example, or a website change. Okay, we want to. The result is a year from now, our website is driving X number of more leads to our business. That would be a successful marketing outcome. So that goes on that previous page. Now, what do we have to do as a company, an organization, in the next 90 days? Maybe we have to, as I said, we have to find a website expert to help us in the design of it. Or we may have to have a brainstorming session with the team, or whatever the steps are. You put that in here. Now I'm thinking you're working with more than one company or one person. If you're by yourself, well, your name's going to be all over this. But person responsible, who's the owner of that particular project? What's the completion date? What's the current status? I put the notion of cost in there just to remind us that certain action plans may have a cost attached to them. Not meant to be a scientific analysis, but it's more of a tweak, more of a reminder that, do we have a budget for this? Is there something else we should be doing? So when you're done that exercise, you will have a list of 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 or 12 or 20 things to do in the next 90 days, and there will be some accountability attached to it. This is where you can start to offload your stuff, if you have anybody to offload it to, your team. Small companies have lots of hats to wear. You may be the salesperson one day, you're going to be the operations chief the next day, you might be the finance CFO the next day. And that list, once you go to the end of the program, just scroll all the way down. I'm going to leave you with one last action plan summary. Yeah. Once you've completed that list, you're going to get a breakdown of your action plans by section. And it'll show all of your data. So now you can keep track of your team, who's doing what by when. They all know what everybody else is doing, which leads right into the process of planning on a 90-day cycle, as much as you can. Come back to this stuff every 90 days. Put your team together, yourself if you're working by yourself, your colleague, your coach. And let's go back and see what we said we were going to do, what we got done, what we didn't get done because it wasn't relevant or it wasn't a priority. Do we keep it, put it into the next quarter? Do we ditch it? And over time, you'll have a sequence of 90-day activities that are all focused on where you're going 3 years from now. Bank, you can talk to your family members. You've got a tool by which to open the conversation, to communicate. And let them help you with it. And let them hold you accountable for it. See, a big part of this whole planning process is about accountability and execution. It's easy to write stuff down, say, hey, I'm going to do this, that, and the other thing. But here we ask you to write it down, who's responsible, completion date, and follow through. And especially if you've got a team of people. This back end part is where they really get involved. Actually, the middle section too, on what we're selling, who we're selling it to, they can make a big contribution to your thinking there. And as they participate in it, as you all know, they're engaged in it. They'll buy into it because you let them add their, or not just add, but to bring their ideas to the table. Now you got people all pushing in the same direction. Very powerful stuff. I'm working with the CEO group for 11 years now, and they do they're challenged with exactly that same question. How do we, for us to be effective as a group, we got to be able to be open and totally transparent with each other on all kinds of stuff. Like, what are my financial goals? And we get into the personal side of life too. As I said earlier, our lives are not separate from our business. So I'm going to encourage you to go as quickly as you can to that trust level, that you know that whatever you talk about here is done in the context of helping each other. And if we don't share information, then we're only getting the tip of the iceberg here. And our group has gone way past that. They've learned to trust each other. There's nothing that they can't say that won't be well received and then still challenged. I think the word they use is carefrontation. So we want to challenge each other, hold each other accountable, but we can only do that if you're willing to put it out there. So I encourage you to do that. You'll get way more value out of it.